Fins Nation, welcome to another episode of Phin Addict Fury. I'm your host, Larry K. I really wanted to celebrate a victory Sunday with you guys, but unfortunately, that's just not going to happen today. We lost to Atlanta on a field goal at the very end of the game. I didn't even know how I felt about the game, to be honest with you, because the season seems so far gone at this point. I don't even know where we are. I don't know what's happening with the quarterback situation. I don't know what's going on in general. So as much as I wanted to win just to kind of have us all rejoice and have a good Sunday afternoon, I don't know that it would have meant much of anything. Look, we had Tua Tagavailoa played okay in spots. But, to all the people out there, and I see a lot of them, there's these Tuaneers, as some people have called them, these Tua advocates, these people who have been obsessed with Tua from jump, and they just have to find every excuse and every reason why he's still the man, despite a lot of shortcomings that we all see with our own eyes and our own ears and our own perceptions. One of the biggest places, by the way, which, I check now and then just to see, because it's a big collection of sentiments of Fin fans across the nation and world, so I check it. But it's Fin Heaven, the message board for him. I actually was a member years ago of a place called Fin Zone, which was then bought out by Fin Heaven. I was on Fin Heaven for a number of years. I was banned under one name. I was banned again a couple more times just because they kept figuring it out. And you know how they are over there. They love banning people, closing down threads, whatever. That place is like a bastion of the Tua cult following. And places like over there, you're seeing sentiments like, oh, Tua did enough to keep us in the game. Tua did enough to get the win, but the defense let us down. The defense couldn't hold at the end, blah, blah, blah. Guys, let's be honest here. Tua had some drives where he looked good, and he's had those drives before, right? He had the only complete game he's had like that was against Arizona last year. Other than that, we've seen Tua play good on certain drives. And today, he came out, and it's like clockwork, right? Every game when there's a pre-scripted drive to start the game or to start the second half, Tua looks like he can move the ball well. He places the ball well, and make no mistake, he made some good throws today. That first drive that he drove all the way down and ended in a Isaiah Ford touchdown was a beautiful drive. He placed the ball where it should have been. He made good decisions. He got the ball where it needed to go. He got it downfield. He avoided the pressure in the pocket. He had good pocket presence. He read the field well. But aside from that, you have to take the whole game into account. You can't just pick and choose what you want. And at the end of the day, Tua threw 2 interceptions at really 2 really inopportune times, right? He threw an interception in the red zone, which could have been a touchdown or at least a field goal, on a horrible pass into double coverage. And then he threw an interception on the very next play after Xavier Howard got a turnover and came away with an interception. Now, Xavier Howard has not been stellar this year. We know that. But the one thing he's really good at, if it's not being in great coverage, is creating turnovers, which create opportunities for your team to win the football game. He did that, and on the very next play, Tua threw an interception. You could say all you want that the defense is what costed us if you want to live in a fantasy land and believe that Tua was great, but only the defense held us back. Guys, in 2021, the NFL, the National Football League, pro football is skewed considerably toward the offense, right? Defenses are never, it's very rare anyway, that defenses are going to come out on Sundays and shut down other teams. It's very rare, especially if the other team has any bit of competency on offense. It's very rare that a team defense is going to shut down another team in the National Football League because the rules and the style of play and everything that's been trending that way for the last 2 or 3 decades is going in the direction of the offense. So our defense today, yes, did they come away at the end with the stop that we needed? No. Should they have? Maybe. Do we expect that from this defense? Yeah. Do we expect it from a lot of defenses in the National Football League that it's going to be hard to stop a team from kicking a game-winning field goal? Yeah, I mean, it's hard for a lot of teams. The way the game's played, it's not that hard. How good these kickers are, it's not that hard to get down the field. Now, at the end, we had X on in coverage. He didn't get didn't make the play, and Atlanta got down there. But that's what we know about X. What does he do? He creates turnovers. That's how we won a lot last year. He's not great in coverage all the time. He's not a shutdown corner, but he'll create turnovers. When we had the opportunities, right? Our defense at the very end, yes, they didn't make the stop. But this game was decided by 2 points. And if you take Tua's interception in the red zone and you take Tua's interception right after the turnover at a better opportune time to win the game, in situations in the game that could have changed the course of the game, that could have made the outcome and the whole way that the game, as far as a dynamic, contextually looked like, if you take those turnovers into account that Tua committed at those times, the defense did put us in positions to capitalize. They made certain stops on certain drives. We got into the red zone. They had a great interception later on in the game where Tua had a chance at about midfield to drive down and he threw an interception. You have to realize this isn't on the defense. Our quarterback threw 2 interceptions at really bad times that were really bad interceptions. And in a 2-point game, that's a huge difference, especially when the quarterback you're talking about was supposedly the savior, a generational talent, a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback, a franchise changer. People got to let that go. Now, I'm not saying Tua's doomed forever. I actually think Tua could be a good quarterback in this league. Top 10, I don't know. Top 5, I say definitely not. Top 15, yeah, it's very possible. But he's going to need a different situation because this whole situation in Miami, as far as I'm concerned, now we're 1-6. The whole situation of Miami is stale, right? A whole situation. And it's funny because you could look at it from any angle you want, right? And when you talk about a regime in the National Football League, you talk about a regime. What are you talking about? You usually have a 3-year cycle is really what it is. Sometimes a little longer, but usually 3-year cycle, you have a regime in place. And you see if that regime's vision and what they do will succeed, right? And a regime consists of 3 components: the general manager, the head coach, and the quarterback. Usually, you hire a GM. The GM hires the coach and GM get together. They pick their guy for quarterback, whether that's a draft, a trade, the guy already there, whatever. And then the 3 of those people have to go out and prove that their vision and their leadership works and will work and is promising. This regime, quarterback, head coach, GM, has failed to do that. This regime has failed to inspire any confidence. Now, you could bring up the owner, but I catch a lot of nonsense every time I bring up Stephen Ross because who knows if he was pushing for Tua? Who knows if he pushed for some of these other players or other decisions that weren't good? He already probably made the wrong hires, which he notoriously does. But every time I bring up the owner, people get mad. They're like, hey, he writes checks. He's rich. You'll never fire him. Don't bring him up. So I won't. He probably has a lot to do with it, but forget about him because he's the owner. He's not going anywhere. So you look at the regime. Whether it was his bad choice or not, it is what it is. And the regime is the GM, the head coach, the quarterback. Interestingly, no matter how you look at this regime, no matter how you want to analyze it, you could analyze it from any angle you want. Any angle you want. You could analyze it from the angle of, oh, they should have never picked Tua. They should have picked Herbert. That's one way to look at it. You could also look at it, oh, even though they picked Tua, they should have picked Tua and then had a plan in place with the offensive coordinator, with the system, with the draft picks around him, with the free agents around him to help him succeed based on his skill set and his strengths, and that would be a failure. You could look at it from the angle of they drafted wrong. They had all these first and second round draft picks, and they screwed them almost all up. You could look at it through that angle. You could look at it that the head coach couldn't get along with people and therefore didn't hire the right supportive assistant coaching staff as far as the offensive coordinator this year, the offensive coordinator last year. And that angle would be a failure. You could look at it that the GM and head coach jointly gave up too many veterans and misjudged that the younger guys would be able to step up and compensate for them leaving from last year to this year, and that would be a failure. You could go back to the start and say trading away somebody like Tunsil, quality players for draft picks that you weren't going to do well on, that was a failure. You could look at it from that angle, and that failed. Any way you look at it, though, any point in the process you want to pick out to say, ooh, that's the failure, or that's the failure, or that's the failure, it doesn't matter. They've been a failure all around, because every and any angle you look at it from, any perspective you take into consideration, this regime together, Grier, Flores, Tua, has failed. The locker room's not confident. The media's not. No one's confident. It is what it is. Tua might go somewhere else and have better success. Flores might go somewhere else and have better success. Grier, honestly, you don't know. Who knows if Grier was behind some of the better picks in the last 20 years, some of the worst picks the last 20 years? Who knows if his hand was forced by Ross, Flores? I don't know. He doesn't look good, but who knows? Any one of these guys could go into a different situation and do better. But them together as a regime in Miami has failed. Make no mistake. And now here we are, 1-6. And to touch on this, last week I wasn't sure where these Deshaun Watson rumors were coming from, right? It was coming primarily out of Houston. And so you're wondering, is Houston leaking false information out and Miami's not engaged in talks just to get Miami interested or get other teams interested even though Miami's not close? Or, is it true? Is it Watson's agents? What's going on, right? Well, now today, Jay Glazer this weekend came out with a report saying, no, Miami and Houston are in heavy negotiations. And Jay Glazer is a reputable reporter. He's a national reporter. He said they're in negotiations, number one. The second and most interesting thing he said, and this is why I think I know now what's going on with the whole Watson situation, he said a team this week, because of the rumors, did call Houston and say, okay, we're interested. What's the price? And Houston said to that team, if you want Deshaun Watson, you've got to beat Miami's offer. Well, what does that tell us? That solves the whole mystery. That tells us that there is an offer on the table for Watson from Miami right now. And that any team who wants him is going to have to beat Miami's offer. So why did it leak last week? Well, now it's simple. It leaked last week because there's already an offer on the table. Miami and Houston are close to getting the deal done. And Houston, one more time, wanted to leak, hey, Miami's about to get him. So basically, they wanted to put the word out, Miami's close to getting him. So if anybody else wants him, you better give me your best offer now. That's why they leaked it, to try to get other teams to come in and either outbid Miami, so Houston would have a better trade to send him somewhere else, or more likely, because he has the non-trade clause and he might not go to some of these teams, to get the team to come in and offer something so that Miami would have to up their offer. Either way, that's what's going on. And people out there, especially on Phin Heaven and other places, hanging their hat on the whole, well, Flores said Tua's our guy now. Tua's our guy now, and I'm happy with him. Saying that proves that Miami's not after Watson. There are a bunch of scam artists across this country that would love to meet you if you believe that. Because saying he's our guy right now does not mean at all that he's going to be their guy next week, okay? Flores saying he's our guy right now and not dispelling any rumors that they're pursuing Watson actually proves more that they are pursuing Watson. And you got to get nervous this week because a team like the Carolina Panthers, whose coach wants to win now, doesn't want to go back to college, a good coach, seeing Sam Darnold look good the first couple weeks, doesn't look good now. Somebody like that, they might swoop in and try to get Watson. So you got to be scared if you're the Dolphins. You might lose him. But I think what's going to happen over the next week, because it's only a week left till the trade deadline, and I can't wait till it's over. If it's Tua, if we keep Tua, we don't have Watson, then fine. Then fire Flores and Grier and bring me a GM who believes in Tua and who's going to build around Tua with a staff and everything. If not, more than likely what I think might happen, go out and get Watson. Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in this league. That's a piece. You now have a top 5 quarterback in this league in his prime. You can extend him, whatever, to lock him down long term, and then still get rid of Flores and Grier and go out and get a regime that's going to build around Deshaun Watson. Consult Deshaun Watson about that regime, unlike the Texans did, and bring somebody in who shares his vision and build around a top 5 quarterback in this league, which the Dolphins have not had in 20 plus years. Do it this week. Just do it. And then at least as fans, we have something to look forward to. We know something's going to happen. Now, the NFL, of course, Roger Goodell is playing games. He hasn't decided. The new reports came out this week. He hasn't decided what's going to happen to Watson if he gets traded. So we have to see what happens with that, and we have to see what happens with the legal issues. But assuming the legal issues get settled, and assuming he eventually, even if he goes through some suspension, assuming he eventually comes back, you have a top 5 quarterback in the league. Now, what you can do is if you bring him in now and he plays the rest of the year, even though I don't think we're making the playoffs, you can assess. And NFL teams, by the way, NFL teams are not ragtag operations where you're just speculating as to what's going on. You can talk to players' agents. You can talk to friends of friends. You can talk to assistant coaches. You can talk to all kinds of sources and find out from now to the end of the year, if Watson comes here, does he have faith in the coaching staff and the front office? Does the front office and coaching staff have faith in him? Are they a good marriage? Are they going to make it work going forward? And you can use the rest of the season to figure that out. And if they are not a good marriage, get rid of the GM and coach and bring somebody else in. If they are a good marriage, then let them maybe. I don't agree. I think they should be gone. But say Ross thinks they need another chance with Watson. Because, by the way, who knows why the team's doing so bad? Like, another possibility is that the front office knew Watson was their guy for the last several months. And Watson's been their guy, and they just been playing brinksmanship with Houston on the trade. And for all we know, the locker room and the quarterback and everybody else kind of gets the sense that the team's in purgatory until Watson gets here because Watson's their guy. And that's part of the reason they're playing uninspired football right now, and there's all this chaos, which just goes to more incompetence on the part of the Miami Dolphins football franchise. But it's possible. So who knows if they get Watson and things turn around? I don't know. I have my doubts. Let's be real. Tua's not the biggest problem on this team. He's not the only problem on this team. But he's not part of the solution the way it looks right now. And throwing 2 interceptions the way he threw them today does not make him part of the solution today. People got to admit that. So I think what's going on is I think you might see this Watson trade. If not, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing anyway, but I definitely don't know what we're doing if you don't see the Watson trade. I think the Watson trade, I think it's time. I think it's time to bring in a top 5 quarterback in this league. And change trajectory, change gears. And like other people have said, if you're going to have to trade pieces like an Xavier Howard or somebody else who's high-priced, maybe coming out of their prime, for pieces, because you're going to give up draft picks to get somebody like Watson, then you go ahead. Get rid of those players and get some pieces, get a top 5 quarterback, but then you better make sure that the person making draft picks and building around Watson is competent and capable. And Chris Grier has not showed that so far. So you better make sure whoever you're bringing in to run this thing is proper. But as a Dolphins fan, I think at this point, as much as I wanted to have a celebratory Sunday, you just kind of knew it wasn't going to happen. The team doesn't look good. Nothing really looks good. Nothing looks promising going forward. I kind of figured we were going to lose. And now it's like, this is put up or shut up time. We're either staying in stagnation with this regime, not knowing what we're doing, or we're making this trade. But by next week, by next Tuesday, not the next Tuesday, but the following, November 2nd, we're going to know if we're staying with Tua, and then you better find a way to help him succeed, or we're going to have Deshaun Watson. And either way, this regime should be on the hot seat. Brian Flores and Chris Grier should be on the hot seat regardless. Because none of us expected to be here at the beginning of the season, but yet here we are. Another rebuild, another cycle. But I think at this point, you have to admit, Tua's not lighting the world on fire. He's not the savior. He's not going to save the franchise. This regime, again, regime is GM, head coach, quarterback. He's questionable, to say the least. And it might be time to change it all over. Does that start this week with a trade for Deshaun Watson? We will see. If there's more rumors, if there's more reports, if something else happens in the news, I'll be back with another edition of Phin Addict Fury. Hopefully this week I'll be featured on a really notable and dope channel. I'm excited for it. I'm hoping it happens this week. I got to make sure my technical setup is adequate for it, but hopefully I'll be on with another prominent channel this week, so you'll get some content from me in that way. In the meantime, guys, if you enjoy the content, you enjoy the video, you enjoy the commentary, you enjoy the analysis or the sentiments, even if you don't like it and you just want to argue, please, please, please smash the subscribe button. Please click the like button. Please share this video with your fellow Doll fans, fellow NFL fans. Get the content out there. We're talking Fins through thick and thin. That's what we do. I'm your host, Larry K., also the host of the Logic and Larry podcast, which you could find on any podcasting medium. Also a writer for On the Banks. Also a Luciano musician. And a lot of other things. I'm happy to join you on Sundays. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully we get some interesting news to lift our spirits or at least make things interesting. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Crack a brew. Do what you got to do. Spend time with your family. Eat something good for dinner. Watch the rest of the NFL games. The NFL's still awesome, even if the Dolphins aren't playing good. And I will speak to all of you guys very, very, very soon. Thank you again for joining me. Talk to you very soon. Later.